The sun rose slowly over the shining towers of the Avaral capital. Golden light passed through the palace windows and touched the stone floors like soft fire. Birds with glowing wings sang from high branches. Peace had returned, but something had changed. Inside the royal palace, Sergeant Caleb Rook stood in the training yard, helping a young group of Ivaral guards practice hand-to-hand moves. Good. But keep your foot grounded, he told one trainee. You lose balance. You lose. The fight. The trainees listened closely. Most of them had never trained with a human before. But they respected Caleb not just as a soldier, but as the man who had brought their princess home from the upper balcony. Princess Ashali watched with a smile. She was healing stronger now, happier. She wore light royal robes, and her hair was braided in long silver strands. Beside her stood her mother, Queen Zarin. He fits in well, the queen said quietly. Ashali nodded. Because he has a good heart. The queen smiled. He changed you, Ashali. Looked up at her mother. He changed all of us. Later that day, Caleb sat in the palace garden, drinking warm herbal tea and reading a small datapad. The galaxy was changing. News reports spoke of peace talks between human and Ivarel leaders growing stronger because of what Caleb had done. Suddenly, soft footsteps approached. He looked up and saw Ashali. She smiled. Busy, he shook his head. Just reading. She sat beside him. Everyone is talking about you, she said. Even in the outer colonies. I don't care about that, Caleb replied. I'm just glad you're safe. Ashali looked down. Are you leaving soon? He paused. Should I? She didn't answer. He looked at her. Your mother says I can stay. Help teach. Help build something new. Ashali whispered. I want you to stay. Caleb felt something warm in his chest. He had always been a soldier, always moving, always ready to leave, but now, someone wanted him to stay. Then maybe I will, he said softly. That night, a special gathering was held in the palace's star hall. It was a place of light and music, with floating crystals above and glowing water streams below. Humans and Avaral stood together, royals, officers, teachers, and scientists. All together, Queen Zayirin gave a speech in front of the crowd. My daughter has returned, she said, her voice strong. But more than that, our hearts have changed. One human showed us that kindness still exists, even between old enemies. She turned to Caleb. He didn't come to seek reward. He came because he listened to a call no one else would. Everyone clapped. Ashali stood proudly beside Caleb, holding his hand. Then the queen stepped forward. Caleb Rook, I offer you a title guardian of the crown. You will have a place in this court, in this world, and beside my daughter. Caleb bowed slowly. I accept your majesty. The room filled with cheers, and for the first time in years, Caleb didn't feel like an outsider. He felt like he belonged. Later, after the ceremony, Caleb walked with Ashali through the palace garden. The night was quiet. Stars shone above, bright and beautiful. I never imagined this, he said. Neither did I, Ashali replied. They stopped near the crystal pond, the same one where they had sat before. She looked at him. Did you ever feel afraid of what's next? He nodded. Every day. That's how I know it's important, she smiled. I dreamed of this place when I was trapped in that pod, she said. Of coming home, of being with my mother, of being safe. And now, she took a deep breath. Now, I dream of building something new. With me, Caleb asked. She reached out and touched the crystal star she had given him, still hanging. Around his neck, with you. The next morning, Caleb received a private message from the Terran Council, the human government. It read, Sergeant Caleb Rook. We offer our deepest thanks for your bravery. We ask you to return to Earth for a medal ceremony and to join the peace talks as an honored guest. Caleb read the message twice. He didn't reply. Not yet. He walked through the palace halls till he reached the queen's chamber. She was sitting near a large map, studying her star systems. Come in, she said without looking up. Caleb stepped inside. I got a message from my people, he said. They want me to come back. Join the talks. Be a symbol. The queen looked at him. And what do you want? He paused. I want to help. I want peace to last. But you found something here, she said gently. He nodded. She rose and walked to him. You are not just a guest here, Caleb. You are part of what comes next. He looked at her. Then let me stay. Let me serve in your council as your soldier. Or just as someone who cares. She smiled. I believe my daughter already made that decision. That evening, in the royal garden, Ashali waited for him. He walked to her, carrying the datapad with the message from Earth. She looked up. Will you go? He held up the datapad. Then he deleted the message. No. Her eyes lit up. Really? He smiled. Earth will be fine without me. But this place, ... you. You feel like home. She stepped forward and hugged him. You feel like home too. In the weeks that followed, Caleb became a symbol of peace across both human and Avaral worlds. Not a hero in shining armor, but a real man who made a simple choice to help someone, to care, to protect, and through that, a new path began. Children on both sides learned his name in school. Soldiers told his story. Diplomats used his example in meetings, but more than all that, one little girl told everyone, he didn't save a princess. He saved me. Final scene. Ashali sits in her art room, drawing with glowing pens. She draws 3 figures, her mother, herself, and Caleb, all standing together, hand in hand, smiling. Above them, she writes, my family, and just below that, Mom, I'm back. He saved me. The blast echoed through the stone halls of the Avaral palace. Guards shouted. Lights flashed red. Chaos filled the air. In the middle of it all, Sergeant Caleb Rook stood between the intruder and the child he had sworn to protect Princess Ashali. The attacker, a human mercenary in black armor, raised a weapon shaped like a curved claw. His mask covered his face, but his voice was cold and sharp. Step aside, soldier. I don't want to kill you. Caleb didn't move. He held his rifle firmly and kept Ashali behind him. You picked the wrong palace, Caleb said. The mercenary aimed. Caleb fired first. A blast of blue light struck the mercenary's arm, throwing him back. He rolled and vanished into the shadows. Caleb turned to Ashali. Run. Find the guards. Don't stop. But she grabbed his hand, shaking her head. No, I stay with you. There are more coming, he warned. You'll get hurt. She looked into his eyes. You protect me, I protect you. Caleb's jaw clenched. There was no time to argue. All right, stay close. They moved together through the maze of halls, avoiding blasts and broken stone. The enemy had hacked the palace doors, opening paths for their team. Small attack drones buzzed in the air. Caleb shot down 2 with clean headshots. Guards joined them, Varal soldiers in silver armor. One of them shouted, Protect the princess. Move her to the core vault. Ashali tugged Caleb's sleeve. Come with me. Caleb looked at the hallway, then back at her. He nodded. The core vault was deep inside the palace, a small chamber protected by thick walls and energy shields. Ashali entered with 2 guards. Caleb followed, keeping his weapon ready. Outside, the battle grew louder. Explosions shook the floor. Suddenly, a loud boom broke through the silence. The vault door cracked open. Smoke poured in. The lead mercenary walked through the fog, his mask now broken on one side. Caleb recognized his face. It was Commander Dresk, a former human officer who had vanished after the war. You, Caleb growled. I warned you, Dresk said. Step aside. The girl belongs to me now. She belongs with her mother. Dresk raised a grenade. Caleb jumped forward, tackling him. They crashed into the wall. The guards attacked the other mercenaries. Ashali hid behind the console, covering her ears. Caleb and Dresk fought hard fists, elbows, knee strikes. Dresk was bigger, stronger. But Caleb was faster, and he fought with purpose. Dresk pulled a knife. Caleb twisted his wrist, forcing the blade away. They slammed into a power pillar. Sparks flew. Then Caleb used the butt of his rifle and hit Dresk across the jaw. Dresk fell stunned. Caleb aimed. You lose. Dresk laughed weakly. You think this is the end? Peace is a lie. They'll never accept you. Caleb didn't answer. He stunned him with a final shot. The threat was over. Outside, Yvarl forces pushed back the rest of the attackers. The palace guards secured all doors. The fighting ended. Smoke cleared. The queen arrived soon after, escorted by a team of elite guards. She rushed into the vault, eyes wide. Ashali, child, ran into her arms. The queen held her tightly, shaking. Then she looked at Caleb. You protected her again. Caleb wiped blood from his lip. Wasn't planning to. Just worked out that way. The queen walked to him. This time, there was no suspicion in her eyes, only respect. You risked your life. For someone not even of your world. She's more than that now, Caleb said softly. She's my friend. The royal healers treated Caleb's wounds. Ashali stayed beside him, refusing to leave even when the queen called her. She's stubborn, Caleb said, smiling. The queen nodded, like her mother. Ashali held Caleb's hand tightly. Don't go. Caleb looked at her, unsure what to say. His mission was complete. He had found her, saved her, brought her home. But a strange feeling grew in his chest. He didn't want to leave, not yet. That night, a meeting was held in the royal chamber. The queen stood before a group of Yvarl, leaders and human ambassadors who had rushed to the planet after hearing the news. Caleb stood beside her, uncomfortable in the spotlight. The queen raised her hand. Let it be known across the stars, she said, that Princess Ashali was not only rescued by a human soldier, but protected from death twice by the same man. The chamber whispered. Some Yvarl frowned, some nodded. The queen continued. There are still enemies who want war, who want to tear us apart. But today, one man reminded us that peace is still possible. She turned to Caleb. For your courage, I offer you the Star of Unity, our highest honor. And more than that, I offer you a place in our world. Caleb blinked. You mean, stay here? The queen nodded. Not as a soldier, as a friend, as a symbol, as someone who can walk between both worlds. Caleb looked at Ashali, who smiled at him. He smiled back. I'd be honored. The next day, the palace held a public ceremony. Yvarl and humans stood together, watching as Caleb received the Star of Unity. Ashali stood proudly beside him, her hand in his. The queen gave a short speech, and then something unexpected happened. Ashali stepped forward and raised Caleb's hand high. She shouted in a clear voice, This is my hero. This is my friend. The crowd roared. Cheers echoed through the city. For the first time in years, both races smiled together. That night, Caleb stood on the balcony of the palace, looking up at the stars. So much had changed. He had come to answer a simple distress signal. Now, it was a part of something far greater. Ashali joined him quietly. She looked up at the sky, too. Do you miss your home? Caleb thought for a moment. Sometimes. But maybe I found a new one. She smiled. I'm glad. He looked at her. You're brave, Ashali. You've survived when no one else could. I had too, she said. I had to find my mother, and you did. And you, she said, you found me. He nodded. I'd do it all again. She reached into her pocket and gave him a small crystal glowing star. It's yours now, for when you feel alone. Caleb took it, eyes soft. Thank you. Placed it around his neck. They stood together in silence. In the shadows, far away, enemies still planned. Peace was not safe. Danger would return. But for now, one human, one alien child, and a queen who had her daughter back. They had made a new beginning, and the galaxy would never forget it. The stars moved slowly outside the window as the Yvarl royal cruiser traveled through deep space. Inside the large, quiet ship, Sergeant Caleb Rook sat in the medical wing, watching the small alien girl beside him sleep peacefully for the first time in days. Ashali, the lost princess of the Yvarl Empire, looked calm, now no fear, no pain. Just peace. Caleb sat beside her bed, his own arm wrapped in a healing bandage. The ship's medic had treated his wounds and even offered him a new uniform clean, simple and strangely soft for alien fabric. The Avarl crew moved around him. Without speaking much, they were polite, respectful, but also cold. He understood why. Even though the war was over, he was still a human. To them, humans were dangerous, unpredictable. And now, he had returned their royal daughter. No one knew what to make of him. Caleb didn't care about politics. He only cared about the promise he had made. I'll get you home. And now, they were almost there. Later that day, a high-ranking officer named Commander Riken came to see Caleb. He was tall and sharp, his armor lined with silver. You will meet the Queen upon arrival, Riken said, his voice firm. You must follow our customs. No weapons, no sudden movements. He'd speak only when spoken to. I'm not here to cause trouble, Caleb said calmly. I'm just here to finish what I started. Riken didn't answer, simply nodded once and left the room. Caleb looked down at Ashali, who had just woken up and was now sitting. Up on the bed, she looked at him with her big glowing eyes and smiled. Home? She asked. He smiled back. Yes, we're going home. The cruiser entered Everall space. The view outside changed large silver cities floating among the clouds. Of a blue-green planet protected by shimmering energy fields, Caleb had never seen anything like it. The beauty of the Everall world took his breath away. The ship landed smoothly on a high platform near the royal palace. As the door opened, soldiers lined up in formation. A large floating chariot awaited them, made of glowing crystals and soft lights. Ashali was helped into the chariot by royal caretakers. But as they tried to guide her away, she looked back at Caleb. She reached out her hand. Come, the guards hesitated. Riken raised his hand to stop them, but then nodded. Caleb joined her, together. They rode through the capital city toward the palace. The palace of Queen Zeron was not like any human building. It rose like a tree made of light and stone with soft music playing through the air, and vines glowing in the walls. At the center of it all was the throne hall, where Queen Zyarin waited. The queen was tall, graceful, and powerful. Her silver crown floated above her head. Her eyes were deep and full of sadness. She stood silently. As Ashali walked toward her, the queen's body shook. She fell to her knees. Tears ran down her cheeks. Asha's single quotes, Lee. My child, my light, you're alive, ... Ashali cried out, ran forward, and threw her arms around her mother. The hall was silent, except for the sounds of their tears and soft words in the Avarl language. Soldiers looked away, even Riken lowered his head. No one had ever seen the queen cry. Caleb stood back, unsure of what to do. Then the queen looked up. Her eyes locked onto his. She stood slowly, holding her daughter close. You are the one who brought her home? Caleb nodded. Yes, Your Majesty. The queen stepped forward. Her eyes were sharp now. Why? She asked. Why would a human soldier risk his life for one of us? Caleb looked at Ashali, who held her mother's hand tightly but still looked toward him with warmth. She needed help, he said simply. I was the only one who answered the call. The queen studied him. You could have sold her. You could have used her as a weapon or left her to die. I didn't, Caleb said, because she's a child. And because it was right. There was silence. Then Ashali walked back to Caleb and hugged him. Friend, she said, looking up at her mother. He saved me. The queen took a deep breath. I see. Later, in the queen's private chamber, she met Caleb alone without guards. She walked slowly, still tired from the emotions of reunion. I believed Ashali died. 5 years ago, she said softly. When her ship was attacked, my soul broke that day. Half of me died with her. Caleb stayed quiet. She looked at him, but somehow, a human found her, kept her alive, brought her home. She stepped closer. Do you understand what that means to me? Caleb nodded. I think I do. The queen lowered her voice. The war ended in words, Caleb Rook, but you ended it with actions. Caleb didn't know what to say, so he said nothing. Outside the palace, not everyone was happy. News of Ashali's return spread across the world. Crowds cheered, but some political. Leaders both human and Everall didn't trust the story. Why? Was a human near our lost princess? Was this a trick? Should the human be rewarded or questioned? Even in peace, doubt remained, and in the shadows of power, someone watched closely. A man in dark clothes stood in a hidden chamber, his eyes on a holoscreen showing Caleb and Ashley. "She's back," he whispered. "And with him, his changes everything." His voice was cold. He pressed a button. Begin the plan. Ashley and Caleb sat near a crystal pond, surrounded by soft lights and floating music. She placed her hand in the water and made the shapes. "Of stars? I thought I would die there," she said quietly. Her language was better now. She was learning fast. Caleb sat beside her. "But you didn't. You held on." "Because I believed my mother would find me," he smiled. "She did. Through me." Ashley looked at him. "Will you?" "Leave now." He hesitated. "Maybe I'm not sure where I belong now." She frowned. "You belong here." He was about to respond when alarms suddenly rang through the halls. Guards rushed past them. Lights turned. A voice echoed through. "The palace. Security breach. Intruder in the lower wing." Caleb stood quickly, pulling Ashley behind him. "Stay close." They ran through the palace as soldiers secured rooms and locked doors. Caleb spotted Riken. "What's happening?" he asked. Riken's face was tight with anger. "Someone hacked into the royal systems. We believe it's a human mercenary." "Possibly." "Working with the scavengers you escaped?" Caleb's jaw tightened. "They're still after her." Riken looked at him sharply. "You think this is connected?" "I don't think. I know." Deep beneath the palace, a shadowy figure moved through the halls with a small bomb in hand. His mission: kidnap Ashley again. And this time, use her to destroy the fragile peace between their worlds. But he didn't expect what came. Next, a flash of light, a powerful blast of energy, and standing in his way was the one human he didn't expect, Caleb. The jungle shook as the scavenger ship landed nearby. Trees bent from the force of its engines, and birds flew into the sky. Screeching in fear, inside his scout ship, Caleb moved fast, strapped Ashley into a safety seat, and started the launch sequence. The girl looked nervous, her silver blue hair falling into her wide eyes. "Hold on, little one," Caleb said, powering up the engines. "We're not going to let them take you." But just as the ship began to rise off the ground, a red light flashed on the control panel. Caleb's eyes narrowed, thrusters damaged. The landing gear groaned. "They hit us before we could even take off." Outside, scavengers opened fire, their blasts striking the outer hull. They wanted the ship, the tech, and the rare alien girl inside. Caleb slammed the emergency controls, causing the ship to drop back into the trees with a hard crash. Ashley cried out, startled but unhurt. The ship was grounded. They couldn't fly. "We're not safe here," Caleb muttered. He grabbed his rifle, opened a hidden panel under the floor, and pulled out a compact energy pack and field bag. Then he turned. "To Ashley, we have to run." She didn't understand his words, but she understood his urgency. She nodded and climbed into his arms. Outside, footsteps drew near. Voices spoke in rough human language, angry, greedy. "They saw the girl," Caleb whispered.
"How do they know?"
"She's valuable." He kicked open the back hatch and disappeared into the jungle with Ashley held close against his chest. The wild jungle of Juno 5 was thick with mist and noise. Strange creatures hissed from the shadows. Plants reached out, like fingers. But Caleb moved like a ghost. He had been trained for survival in worse places. Now he used everything he knew not to save himself, but to protect the child in his arms. Hours passed. The sun above the jungle burned hot. Caleb stopped only to rest in hidden caves and under thick branches. He shared his food rations with Ashley and gave her water from his canteen. She never complained. She watched him with quiet, curious eyes. Once while they rested, she gently touched the cut on his arm from the crash. Her fingers glowed softly, and to Caleb's surprise, the pain faded. He blinked. "You healed me?" She looked at him and gave a small nod. "Who are you?" he whispered. He had a strong feeling now. This girl was more than just royalty. She was special in ways he couldn't understand yet. As night fell again, Caleb found a cave behind a waterfall. The sound of rushing water would help cover their tracks. Inside, he laid down some heat blankets and sat beside Ashali. "Tomorrow, we reach the top ridge," he said. "From there, we can call for help." Ashali rested her head on his shoulder. Her small hand held onto his jacket. Caleb looked down at her and smiled. "I used to think all Everell were the enemy," he admitted. "But now, you've changed that." She looked up and reached for his face. Gently, she placed her small hand on his cheek. Then she whispered, "Caleb." He froze. "Did you just say my name?" She smiled and nodded. "Caleb, friend." His heart warmed. She had been listening, learning, trusting. "Yeah," he said softly. "Friend." The next day, Caleb carried Ashali through steep paths and up rocky cliffs. The sun burned hotter. His muscles ached. But he didn't stop from the ridge. He activated his emergency long-range beacon, powered by the backup cell. He carried the beacon blinked to life. A coded signal shot into the stars a message to any Evarl ship within reach. Survivor found. Royal child. Request extraction. They had to wait, but waiting wasn't safe. The scavengers were still hunting. They had drones in the sky now.
Oh, yes.
Flying machines with scanners and cameras. Caleb saw one in the distance and pulled Ashali. Behind a rock, but the drone spotted movement. "Run," Caleb said. Grabbing her hand, they ran through the trees as the drone fired warning shots behind them. Caleb aimed his rifle and blasted it out of the sky, but the sound gave away their position. The scavenger ship was coming fast. "They won't stop until they catch you," he said, lifting Ashali into his arms again. He ran with all his strength through trees, across streams, up steep hills then. Just as the scavenger ship began to descend, a miracle happened. 3 large ships appeared in the sky above. Shining with silver and gold, they were Eval Royal cruisers. Caleb's signal had been received. The scavenger ship tried to flee, but was quickly disabled by the Evarl fighters. Evarl soldiers landed in sleek armor, their weapons drawn. They surrounded Caleb. He didn't resist. He knelt and gently placed Ashali down in front of them. She looked at him with fear in her eyes. He gave her a soft smile. "It's okay. You're safe now." One soldier scanned her. The scanner beeped loudly, and the soldier's face turned pale. "It's her," the soldier said. "It's really her, Princess Ashali." The others froze then without a word. The lead soldier gave a formal bow and touched his forehead in respect. "Human," he said. "You have returned the daughter of our queen." Caleb stood slowly. "She saved me too." The soldier nodded. "You will come with us.
Ow.
The queen will want to see you herself." Caleb looked at Ashali. She ran to him and took his hand tightly. He didn't let go. As the Everell ship rose into space, Caleb sat quietly beside Ashali. For the first time in days, they had warmth, light, and real food. Ashali smiled as she looked out the window at the stars. Caleb looked at her and felt a strange mix of pride and sadness. He had done what he came to do. He had saved her. But soon, she would go back to her royal life, and he would go back to being just a soldier. He didn't know why that thought made his chest feel heavy, but for now, she was still by his side, and he would protect her until the very last moment, because that's what friends do, and somehow, in this vast galaxy, a human soldier and a lost alien princess had found each other. The war between humans and the alien race, known as the Evarl, had ended 5 years ago. Peace was signed, weapons were lowered, and both sides returned to their worlds. But scars remained on cities, on people, and deep inside hearts. Most humans still didn't trust the Evarl, and the Evarl didn't trust humans either. Sergeant Caleb Rook knew that better than anyone. He had served during the war, mostly as a field medic and scout. He had seen fear, pain, and loss. But he had also seen something more: hope. Caleb believed that enemies could become allies, even friends. But not everyone believed that. Now Caleb was stationed on Outpost 17, a small human base, floating near the edge of wild space. The stars beyond were unexplored and dangerous. No colonies, no trade, no reason to visit, except for watching old war zones and scanning the deep dark. One day, something strange happened. Commander, the technician, said, frowning at his screen, "We caught a signal, very weak." Old code. The commander of the outpost, a tired man with gray in his beard, looked up. "What kind of signal? Emergency distress? Very old Avaral frequency?" The room went silent. "Where is it coming from?" someone asked. "Juno 5, a jungle." "Moon, it used to be a war zone, but nothing's there now. It's been dead for years." The commander sighed. "Ignore it. It's probably a broken beacon. Not our problem." No one argued. No one wanted to go. It was dangerous, unnecessary, and alien. But then a voice spoke up. "I'll go," Caleb said. Everyone turned to look at him. "You sure?" the commander asked, raising an eyebrow. Caleb nodded. "Could be a real emergency. Even if it's not, we should check. If someone's out there, ... They've been waiting a long time." "Fine," the commander said. "Take your shuttle, but don't stay long." The journey to Juno 5 took a few hours. Caleb flew his small scout ship through the thick clouds and into the green world. Below, the jungle was thick, wild, and full of noise, animals screeching, leaves rustling. Water dripping, his scanner beeped faintly. The signal was close. He walked through tall trees and thick vines, his boots sinking into soft, wet ground. His armor was light, his rifle ready, but he hoped he wouldn't need it. Then he saw it, half covered by roots and moss. A broken Avaral escape pod rested against a rock. Its metal body was rusted and cracked. The door was open but barely. Caleb approached slowly. Inside, the air was stale. The lights flickered, and then, ... he heard a sound. Soft whimper. His eyes widened. In the far corner of the pod behind, broken panels and old supplies, lay a small alien child. Her skin was smooth and dark silver, glowing softly in the dim light. Her hair was long and silver blue. Her eyes, large and bright, were filled with fear. She tried to crawl away, weak and trembling. "It's okay," Caleb said softly, kneeling down. He placed his rifle on the ground. "I'm not here to hurt you." She didn't understand his words, but she stopped moving. Her breathing was fast, her body thin and shaking. She was wounded, scratches, bruises, and a broken arm tied with old cloth. She had been alone for a long time. Caleb opened his bag and carefully pulled out a water bottle. He offered it to her. She stared at it and slowly took it. She drank then. She looked up at him and whispered something in a trembling voice. Double quotes, "Zaire. N. ... Caleb didn't know the word. "Is that your name?" She shook her head and pointed to herself. "Shali," she said. Then she pointed up toward the stars and said again, "Zairean." Caleb realized. Zairean wasn't her name. It was. Someone else. Someone important. He looked at her carefully. Her clothing was old and torn, but there were golden threads in the fabric. Her necklace held a strange symbol, a crest, royal in design. And then memory returned to him. Years ago during a ceasefire, he had read a report. A Avaral princess, just a child, had gone missing during a surprise attack on her ship. Body was never found. She had been declared dead. Could this be her? Could this be Princess Ashali, daughter of Queen Zairean? Caleb took a deep breath. "I don't know who you are exactly," he said gently, "but I promise I'll get you home." She looked at him, not understanding the words. But she seemed to feel the promise in his voice. She reached out slowly and touched his hand. It was the first time she had touched anyone in years. Caleb carried Ashali in his arms as he left the pod. He couldn't let her walk with her injuries. She was light to light and he could feel her bones beneath her skin. She had survived in the pod by drinking collected rainwater and eating emergency food packs. "Strong girl," he whispered. The walk back to the ship was hard. The jungle was thick and night was falling. Strange howls echoed from the trees. Caleb kept his eyes open and his rifle ready. They camped under a tree for the night. Caleb started a small fire and gave Ashali a warm blanket. She sat close to him, watching him quietly. He took out a small music device and played soft earth melodies to his surprise. Ashali smiled. Her head moved slightly with the rhythm. You like music, huh? He said. She nodded slowly. He smiled too. That night, under the stars, two beings from different worlds sat together in silence, bound by trust and something deeper. Morning came. Caleb reached the ship and started prepping for takeoff. But before they could leave, something triggered the ship's sensors. A ship was approaching. Not a Yvarl ship, not a human rescue craft. Scavengers. Human pirates who searched old war zones, stealing tech and capturing survivors for ransom or, worse, they had picked up the ship's energy signal and were coming fast. Caleb's eyes narrowed. He looked at Ashali, who clutched his arm tightly. I promised I'd get you home, he said, and I will. He lifted her into the ship, sealed the door, and prepared for launch. The jungle roared behind him. Scavenger ship was landing. Time was running out. Caleb's heart pounded, but he wasn't afraid. Not for himself. He was afraid for her. But deep down, he knew one thing. He would not fail her.